All right, welcome back to another K-Stang production video. Week 6 of the NFL just happened this past weekend, and I'm just now making the video for it. A lot of games played, and a lot of teams won. Some teams lost. Obviously, that's what happens in the game of football. But I come to you with analysis of each game, the statistics at least, and you tell me who you think should have won, what the rest did that were dirty, what teams could have did it better to improve, and what teams are going in the dumpster this year and preparing for the next season. Obviously, it's week 6, and it's still got 11 more games to play. Therefore, somebody could possibly go 11-0 the next 11 games. I'm not saying it'll happen because I don't think it will. But let's get into these games. The 49ers did play the Seahawks, and the 49ers did win. Geno Smith and the Seahawks looked terrible in this game, man. I watched this game. And the 49ers defense was putting a beating on him. Geno Smith looked like he was being put through the ringer. Like he was getting attitude adjusted by John Cena. Hit by Triple H, Undertaker, and Rey Mysterio all at the exact same time. Just a little wrestler reference, I guess. Brock Purdy, 18 for 28, 255 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like I said, game manager. Exactly like Cam Newton said. Jordan Mason didn't really have too much production in this. Actually, he did. 9 for 73. Isaac Guarnedo, 10 for 99. So obviously they had great production from the running game. If I'm not mistaken, this is over 200 yards worth of rushing yards, and that's great. The Seahawks don't really have a great defense. They have a better offense and they have a defense. So I'll take it honestly. Deebo Samuel Jr. 3 receptions for 102 yards, 34 yards on average. If he can get 3 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown, that means run after a catch, yards after a catch. I don't care which way you ever want to say it. He had production in this game. George Kittle had 5 receptions for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk had 2 for 37. They are loaded on the offensive weaponry, especially without Christian McCaffrey. But they did what they had to do. The Seahawks at this point in time are 3-3, so they're right at 500. The Seahawks are also at 500. So, I mean, they're pretty much in the same ballpark, if I do say so. But I think the 49ers are just plagued with injuries, and that's honestly why their record is the way it is. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan will put something to this. He'll come up with something new. He'll cook up with something new, or keep going the way that they're going. Geno Smith is 30 for 52 within this game, 312 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. It isn't too many games that you see Geno Smith lose his composure, but he did. That defense put the work on him. The work. Boy, they was whooping him. They was hitting them. They was disguising, and they was plotting. Absolutely atrocious. Kenneth Walker, 14 for 32. Zach Charbonnet, 5 for 20. Terrible running game. Absolutely abysmal. Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown. Noah Fant had 6 for 63. Smith and Jigba, 5 for 53. Metcalf, 3 for 48. So, therefore, the ball was dispersed well amongst the wide receivers, but you had to watch this game to see why they lost. The offense was sputtering. They were definitely like a lemon car. Start when it wants to, wobble when it wants to. I mean, they needed the oil change. They needed the brakes and calipers changed. Ooh-wee. And they needed gasoline because, boy, were they tired. So, all in all, moving on to the next game because this game was pretty much, you got to watch it to see some of the stuff that I say within these videos. And the Seahawks were just no good. This is just a game that I would like to say. The Bears played the Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence is, I don't want to say he's a bust. I don't think he is. He came out of Clemson, obviously one of my favorite players within the league. I support him. I root for him. I root for the Jaguars because 2 of our Clemson players are on the Jaguars playing on offense and should be lights out right now. I saw Shannon Sharp said that he actually has weapons. I don't think he has weapons. I think Gabe Davis might be the biggest weapon that they do have. Travis Etienne isn't really producing as much as he should be. But I'm sure the Bears also overpowered them with their offense. Montgomery, Keenan Allen, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, you name it. If you go up against that offense, your defense better be outstanding, which the Jaguars don't have. The Buccaneers versus the Saints, especially with Derek Carr being out, the Buccaneers put on an offensive clinic, 51-27. Like I said, they're probably one of the best offensive teams right now in the nation. 24 for 36 for Baker Mayfield, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he did have 3 interceptions. And I will say the Saints do have one of the more exceptional defenses with Cam Jordan being on the line, Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously, they lost last night, but Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, if you may, they're really good. Sean Tucker, 14 for 136 yards, and this is rushing, by the way. Bucky Irving, 14 for 81. Sterling Shepard, 4 for 31. Great running game. Absolutely great running game. Chris Godwin, 11 receptions for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Mike Evans, their top wide receiver, I would say, had 2 receptions for 34 yards. All in all, they had a really good game. I think Chris Godwin balled out. I think Baker Mayfield, minus the turnovers, balled out as well. But Baker Mayfield is going to give you at least 1 interception a game, honestly. But as long as it doesn't hurt the production of the offense, obviously it hurts because you give the ball back. But as long as they're scoring points on every possession, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. Baker Mayfield is playing out of his life. His life. Spencer Rattler, 22 for 40, 243 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Honestly, the backup to Spencer Rattler played last night, and he looked way better. He got the ball out quick. He wasn't looking to make plays. He was just looking to get the ball to the playmakers, and that's what the quarterback should do. Obviously, I'm a big advocate for quarterback scrambles, quarterback play actions, but man, just get the ball to the wide receivers, get the ball to the running back. Don't make any turnovers, and you'll be fine. As long as you have good wideouts and running backs, you should be fine. Alvin Kamara, 13 for 41 touchdown. This is one of his lower production games. We see Alvin Kamara have like 100 and 100 in rushing and receiving. But man, he said in the interview, man, the fans are leaving early in the second quarter. I expect them to, and I expect them to too. The Saints have not been playing good. They were a bust. They were phony from the first 2 to 3 games that they did play, scoring all of those points. Even with Derek Carr in this offense, I don't think they're getting anywhere. They just had a great couple of games. But moving on, Foster Monroe, 2 for 54. Juwan Johnson, 3 for 48. I'm sorry, where did Michael Thomas go? I just want to say that Chris Olave had 1 reception for 5 yards, and he's another good wide receiver that I like. Hopefully he has more production. Hopefully they can get the ball to him. I think that Spencer Rattler needs to be benched based off of these 2 games, and the backup might be a little bit better. But I'm just saying. Team stats. First downs, 19 for the Saints, 31 for the Buccaneers. Third down efficiency, 4 for 13 for the Saints, 6 for 10 for the Buccaneers. And time of possession was a 10-point or a 10-minute margin. So I'm not even going to go into that. Moving on to the next game. The Washington Commanders played the Baltimore Ravens, and they did lose. The Baltimore Ravens won 30-23. The Washington Commanders are 4-2 now, and the Baltimore Ravens are also 4-2 now. Jaden Daniels has been playing out of his mind as well. Up to this point, I don't think he has many interceptions. 24 for 35, 269 yards, and 2 touchdowns from a rookie. That'll get the job done every time. And he's beaten countless quarterbacks that's been in the league multiple years. I commend him. He was a top rusher, which is also outrageous. I mean, you have Austin Eckler, who was really good on the Chargers and getting 9 carries for 21 yards. That ain't gonna do it. And I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens ran the ball out of their mind, especially with Harbaugh. Zach Ertz, the tight end, was their leading receiver, 4 for 68. Noah Brown had 4 for 58. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, 6 for 53 and 2 touchdowns. And that's all they had. I think possibly they need to get another wide receiver in there with Jaden Daniels. But other than that, I think they're pretty straight. I think they have a really good offense. I think their defense is subpar, especially with Bobby Wagner leading the charge. Obviously, he's a veteran. He's probably a little bit older now. He's probably a little bit more slower, but I'm sure he can still do what he needs to do. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson had 20 for 26, really good completion rate, 323 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. I'm sure he had a lot of rushing yards too, Be dead. 11 for 40. And that man, Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. He hit himself on the goalpost countless times. He's carrying and toting that rock like he means it, like he's carrying it through the Sahara Desert. Man is doing what he has to do. That's what I like to see. And Zay Flowers had a great game. 9 receptions for 132 yards. Rashid Bateman, 4 for 71. Mark Andrews, 3 for 66 and a touchdown. Isaiah Lackley, 2 for 27. That means Lamar Jackson has become a better passer. I think he has. I think his arm is a little bit more comparable to his legs. He can do whatever he wants with his legs. But his arm was always the focal point of what people were talking about. This just goes to show that this man has been put in the time, the effort, the work, the grit, the grind to become the quarterback that he needs to be for the Ravens and for them to be in contention every year. For him to ultimately be an MVP. Team stats. First downs, 28 for the Ravens, 18 for the Commanders, 6 of 10 for third down efficiency for the Ravens, 4 for 12 for the Commanders, and then time of possession was terrible. The Baltimore Ravens, obviously probably because they ran a lot more than the Commanders, 36 minutes. The Washington Commanders had it for 23, basically 24 minutes. So, all in all, I think the Washington Commanders are still a pretty good team with Jaden Daniels being at the helm, holding the reins, if you may add. But obviously, it takes a lot to beat the Baltimore Ravens, especially with getting Derrick Henry this offseason. And, man, they're going to run it. They're going to play action it. They're going to triple option it. They're going to read option it. They're going to do whatever they want to. So, I mean, you have to have a really good defense to hold somebody back like that. Moving on to the next game. The Cardinals played the Packers, and obviously the Packers are way better than the Cardinals. People say Kyler Murray spends his time playing God. He should spend his time reading the playbook. I mean, he got a big deal from it too. But 34-13, there really isn't much to get into this game. Jordan Love played out of his mind. Kyler Murray just couldn't get the offense going pretty much. Yeah, 22 for 32 isn't a bad game, but you got to see the game to make an analogy on it. Jordan Love was 22 for 32, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That just goes to show. Jordan Love is playing out of his mind, and he's very comparable to Aaron Rodgers. So really, they really didn't lose much, but all they lost was experience. Because Jordan Love is getting it done. What's their record? Let me see what their record is. They're 4-2 as well, to the 2-4 Cardinals. In my book, that's better than a lot of other teams in positions that they shouldn't really be in. The Colts played the Titans. We expect this. Joe Flacco has also been playing out of his mind, especially for an old guy. 22 for 38, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Obviously, this isn't one of his better games, but he still got the job done. A win is a win. What's their record? They're 3-3, so they're 500 on the year to the Titans. 1-4 on the year. Man. Oof. If I'm not mistaken, Michael Pittman is hurt as well. He had 3 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown. Prayers goes up to him. I think it was a kind of bad injury. I don't remember. But moving on to the Titans, Will Levis did have 16 for 27, 95 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He didn't even make it over 100 yards. That's crazy, nasty work. But Tony Pollard was the highlight of this offense. 17 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins is probably frustrated, along with Tyler Boyd. DeAndre Hopkins had 4 receptions for 54 yards. Tyler Boyd had 3 receptions for 19 yards. Obviously, these guys probably came here for the bag. They wasn't expecting to be put to shame by Will Levis. Honestly, I would have took Malik Willis over Will Levis at this point because, like people keep saying, he's making boneheaded moves. And when you get boneheaded moves, you have a boneheaded quarterback. And you be a boneheaded coach to keep him in the game. So honestly, I will look for other options. But 1-4 is a terrible way to start the season. The only worst you can get is being 0-5. So at least you won 1 game. But I'm sure people in the Titans offense, Titans organization is frustrated up to this point. Moving on to another game. Let's see. The Texans defeated the Patriots in a mesmerizing fashion, 41-21. There's not much more to say about that. C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. That's all I got to say. That offense is outrageous. Who do the Patriots have? Name me one person the Patriots have at this point besides Jacoby Brissett or some random nobody. Tell me one good player that they have that will make a difference on that offense. I'm waiting. All right, the Browns lost to the Eagles. Not surprising. Deshaun Watson has been not like himself over the previous years. Jalen Hurts hasn't really been playing well as either. They're 3-2 on the season. The Browns are 1-5. You can't get much worse than that. Like I said, unless you're 0-6, at least they won a game. Deshaun Watson's my guy, honestly, but 16 for 23, 168 yards will definitely not get the job done. And then they also trade Amari Cooper. So this just goes to show that they're jumping ship, honestly. And I'm surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised, if they try to trade Deshaun Watson to another team within this year. I don't know what team they could possibly do that to, but hey, I mean, giving up your star wide receiver, and then you only have Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku, you're jumping ship. You're definitely jumping ship because all I got back was 2 picks. All I got back was 2 picks. So obviously they're planning for the draft. Honestly, 1-5 is terrible. I don't see them winning 9 games, 10 games out. So Jalen Hurts had 16 for 25 completion, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley had a lower production game, 18 carries for 47 yards. We've seen him have way more yards than this, so I expect him to get back where he wants to be. A.J. Brown is playing out of his mind, 6 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown. And Devontae Smith is back. 3 receptions for 64 yards and 1 touchdown. He was in that concussion protocol. Prayers go up to him, man. Hopefully he isn't playing against doctor's orders. He isn't putting himself in harm's way, honestly, because we can see what concussions can do to people like Tua or like Jonathan Taylor, who hurt his head as well, or like, what's the guy on the Rap? I think Tyler Rapp, another guy like that. So people that I've just seen wearing the Guardian caps or getting concussions, just prayers go up to them, man. We don't like to see that type of stuff. But the Eagles did win 20-16. So I expect the Eagles to be in contention this year. They were last year. Hopefully they are this year too. But who knows? The Chargers defeated the Broncos. Nobody's surprised about that. 23-16. That's all I'm going to say about that game. Because honestly, I'm not too fond of the Broncos. Bo Nix is amazing. I like Bo Nix. Sean Payton, probably not one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, especially just by what he stands for and what he did with Russ. I didn't like that either. I think Russ is a way better quarterback. He should have treated him a little bit better than that. Upstanding guy from what I see online. The Steelers defeated the Raiders. And Antonio Pierce and the Raiders right now are going downhill too. They're jumping ship as well. Trading Devontae Adams for like 2 picks. You should have got at least a quarterback, or not a quarterback, but like something in return. A better player in return. You trade him away for basically nothing. But I ain't send him where you want him to go at that. I would have sent him to like, never mind, I ain't gonna say that. Steelers won 32-13. Good for them. Justin Fields won that game for them. But Russell Wilson will be starting this week. So the news do say. I mean, Jalen Hurts got him to 4-2, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what Russ does within the next couple of games, because if Russ isn't really any better, I put Justin Fields in. But then Justin Fields might be a little bit angry. The Falcons defeated the Panthers. I'm sure nobody's surprised by that. 38-20. Kirk Cousins, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Let's just see what they did. Tyler Alleger, 18 for 105. Bijan Robinson, 15 for 95 and 2 touchdowns. Drake London had 6 receptions for 74 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts had 70 yards. Darnell Mooney had 38 yards. All in all, they put on an offensive clinic. Chuba Hubbard did have 18 carries for 92 yards for the Panthers, though. And Deontay Johnson did have 6 for 78 and a touchdown. Poor Panthers, man. They're 1-5 as well. The Falcons are 4-2. I like what I'm seeing from the Falcons, especially with their addition of Kirk Cousins. I think they got one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL at this moment in time. And you know what? Kirk Cousins is going to be Kirk Chains. He's going to be holding them up when he gets into the playoffs, man. I think that's a beautiful thing to see. I like the production I see from the Falcons offense. The Lions obliterated the Cowboys. Obliterated. Jalen Jared Goff went 18 for 25, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They've been playing out of their mind. 4-1, the Detroit Lions. David Montgomery, 12 for 82 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs had 12 for 63. Jameson Williams had 3 for 78 and a touchdown. I mean, I like what I see from Dan Campbell and the Lions. There's not much more to say about that. But Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. Boy, y'all got something to say to these Dallas fans, man. There's no way y'all go in with the most hype and come out with your tail between your legs, your ears down, and pouting. Jerry Jones, I know the United States is a capitalist economy. Somebody has to take the reins from him because you cannot be this stingy with money and players. You're worth over $6 billion and you can't get enough players. You're overpaying players like Dak Prescott. I would have been let him walk. Ezekiel Elliott, I wouldn't even let him came back. CeeDee Lamb, obviously he's a good wide receiver. But man, they don't have chemistry. The offense is sputtering at all times. You don't have a good running back. Your defense is pretty much hurt at this point because I think Micah Parsons is hurt. I think Lawrence is hurt. Man, 47-9. On your birthday at that point, I heard about that. It was his birthday. Ooh, that's kind of nasty work. That is nasty work. But just to say these last couple of games, the Bengals defeated the Giants 17-7, and the Bills defeated the Jets. That was also a game as well. The offensive line for the Jets is abysmal. Tyrann Mathieu from the Cowboys, I heard, was playing absolutely disgusting. Went back and saw the highlights, and he was playing terrible. Hopefully, he could pick up his performance. Hopefully, he could block for Aaron Rodgers a little bit better. But all in all, the Bills did win 23-20. They have Amari Cooper now going into this next game. I don't think he may play because he probably don't know the playbook that much. But he could have been practicing with them too. But let's just see what we get from them. So a couple of games for Sunday just to get these out of the way. The Broncos did defeat the Saints, and it was bad. So just know that the Broncos beat the Saints 33-10. I'm not even going to go into depth because the Saints offense looked terrible, especially with Spencer Rattler. But this is week 7. I'm going to just give you my picks. The Patriots play the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars will win that game. The Lions play the Vikings. I think the Lions will come out. They'll come out swinging. The Vikings won't be able to keep up. Therefore, the Lions win. Titans play the Bills. I expect the Bills to win. The Dolphins play the Colts. I expect the Colts to win. The Seahawks play the Falcons. I expect the Falcons to win. The Texans play the Packers. I expect the Texans to win. The Bengals play the Browns. I expect the Bengals to win. Eagles play the New York Giants. I expect the Eagles to win. Raiders play the Rams. I expect the Rams to win. Panthers play the Commanders. Definitely the Commanders are going to win that game. The Chiefs play the 49ers. I hope Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have a good chemistry at this point in time because the wide receivers are scarce on that line or on the offensive side of the ball. So give me Chiefs by a close game. Jets play the Steelers. I expect the Jets to win. Ravens play the Bucks. I expect the Ravens to win. Last but not least, the Chargers play the Cardinals. I expect the Chargers to win. Give me the Chargers. Let me know what your picks are down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite stat is within this video. And as always, stay tuned. I'll catch y'all next time.